We did, I told the Senator this last night, we did advance the society in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s. And I'm a career diplomat, so I can easily say that I'm not a politician. We didn't pay for it. Our politicians didn't dare sort of present the bill to the Danes for this society that we created. But of course, everyone got addicted to it and enjoyed it tremendously. Exactly the question of yours just a minute ago. Who pays for this? We realized we had to, all of us. So we increased our incomes, government incomes, VAT and taxes. And today people look at the comprehensive outcome. What is that? That's your standard of living, that's your neighbor's standard of living, that's a society's lifestyle. That's the affluence of society. There's nothing wonderful about being a rich person if your neighbor is a poor, dependent, unemployed, uneducated criminal. You want to have a society of affluence. You want to be proud of society. You want to see your democracy, your tribe, sort of thrive and be successful.
But let me stop there. It's not what he has just said in passing, taking for granted, is certainly not something that is necessarily widespread majority view of the United States. What he has basically said, he is speaking English. I don't know why I'm translating him. He speaks English. I want to translate from the Danish and press you on well. In this country, and without getting into ideology, there are many people, leaders who don't agree with that philosophy.
Sure.
I'm going to work hard, I'm going to make it, and frankly, I don't care about my neighbor. That's the way life goes. You can't work hard, you don't have the breaks, tough luck. That's what the American dream is about. I make it, you don't. But they're saying long term, philosophically, everybody rises together. And that's, I mean, even in distribution of wealth in your country, distribution of income, it is much narrower than it is in the United States, right?
Yeah, we are one of those countries in the world, when you look again, I always quote OECD statistics, that would have what economists would call the Gini coefficient as the best one, because we have really income equality. We have a few rich people, Maersk. It's clear if you own $40 billion company, you are not one of those. But we have, that's what we said. So for us, what I tried to say, pretending to be in the passing, was that for us, income inequality is not attractive. Income equality is attractive, and general high standard of living is very attractive, because that is the way in which we think that we get the most out of our society's productive resources. We've had some small cases where Danish politicians would say that some inequality would be good. People really dissociate themselves with that. Of course, we believe in working hard and having a work ethic and studying and taking care of yourself. And it's a delicate balance. How much do you do for citizens who can't really be successful themselves, and how addicted do they get to these welfare transfers? And that's a constant search of the right balance. How do you motivate people to be active and so on? I always try to say, when I get the question, why are we the happiest people of the world? I say, because we don't look at taxes as the most important issue, but the overall. And if you feel that society is doing very well, moving in the right direction, doing the right things, you're engaged, you're being challenged in a very sort of good collective way, that also gives you the personal freedom. Then we struck that delicate balance within which modern societies will have to advance themselves. But it's a constantly moving target, and our politicians are interpreting with that. Every election, that is the core of our elections.
Okay, other question? Yeah.
I think what I'm hearing, which certainly touches me, is not the differences between the size of the countries, but the fact that you seem to have committed, and a commitment we can all make, is a commitment to longer-term planning, a commitment to the wellness of a greater number of people. So the more people that are educated, the more people that are prospering economically, the more people that have greater degree of happiness and are progressing in society. If we're committed to those things, we might do it differently in America here because of our size than you do. But it seems to me that your commitment, and would you think this is a correct statement, that your commitment to do those things and to plan for them in a long-range sense instead of a short-range sense is something that you've excelled at versus our society?
We have, yes, I would agree with that statement. We are a country that believes extremely much in this equality. If I may go back to the healthcare, our Prime Minister gets the same healthcare as the most disadvantaged citizens of the country. Exactly the same healthcare. We all get the same healthcare. Some of you would disagree, but if you want to spend more money on healthcare, you have to earn it yourself and then buy private hospitalized services, and you can do that. So then it's a free choice. Even within the government system, the present government has really seen that as one of the ways in which you can increase happiness and satisfaction with government healthcare, to increase the transparency, what hospitals are doing, what kind of results in surgery and in treatments. So you can look at the web and see what hospitals perform the best. And you can choose a hospital that performs the best. And you can see where the waiting lists are what. And of course, we're having governments and politicians and political parties are competing on bringing down the waiting list, transferring money from one part of the government budget to the health, to decrease waiting lists, to increase the areas in which our health system is not doing perfectly well. I mentioned yesterday that we had our health secretary here in the US a couple of weeks ago, a conservative health secretary. He was then replaced with another one after the tour, like to do with this tour. He was here in search of some of the things, of course, the US health system does brilliantly. New technologies, introduce reduction of IT, healthcare. Some of the big insuring companies like Kaiser Permanente have brilliant software that we could possibly learn from. But also performance management in certain areas and veterans administration. We start to get more and more veterans, and we have such a small hospital system that we have no place and room economically, viably, outside the normal system for veterans, but we have to integrate them in. So can we take those best methods that the US system has already developed, borrow from them, integrate them in our system? And that is exactly what I think your center said, that everyone will always have to be ready to do. Where can you see how they solve this best practice, introduce it in your society with a philosophy to get that high average that you just
last night, getting back to the question, I think that you asked about the size of countries and so forth. Last night, somebody asked a very interesting question, I thought, and they said that in America, it goes without saying, there's not a lot of trust and confidence in the federal government. Probably it's almost at an all-time low right now. And you wonder if people would entrust the government in Washington to do the things that these guys are doing in Denmark, and to what degree that has to do with the size of the country and the ability of people to input the process, to know that government is in fact responding, whether you're a business person, whether you're a worker, whatever it may be. But it sounds, just listening, and I'm not an expert on this, to the ambassador, that their government is working a little bit better than our government works in response to people's needs and the needs of the whole society. To what degree that is, the fact that there are 5 million people as opposed to 300 million, I don't know. What